Hey everybody, this is Luke from InfoSecLuke. Today we're going to be talking about Microsoft Purview. So maybe you've heard of Microsoft Purview before, or this is your first time learning about it. Either way, I think it's good to start with our handy tool ChatGPT and just ask, what is Microsoft Purview? You can see it spits out the answer right away. It's a unified data governance, compliance, and risk management platform designed to help organizations discover, classify, manage, and protect their data on premises, multi-cloud, and SaaS environments. So basically, what you can think of is if you've ever worked in an organization that applies labels to Word documents or emails or Excel, more than likely they're using Microsoft Purview or a similar tool to apply those labels. And the beauty of that is that once you've kind of classified your data based on its sensitivity, you can think of maybe an Excel spreadsheet full of financial data for a company or personal information like social security numbers. You apply a special label to that data, and then you can go ahead and apply what's called DLP. You can see that here in step 2, which basically it's designed to prevent data leakage, whether that be exfil through a USB device, whether that be printing, whether that be uploading to file shares or generative AI websites. All of that falls under the realm of DLP. And additionally, there's a component called Insider Risk Management, which can detect when a user is repeatedly violating DLP rules or maybe when they're doing anything that's anomalous. It relies heavily on machine learning to detect those kinds of behaviors. And then you can create a case wherein your senior leadership can review the case and get HR involved if they need to. There's other features as well, such as e-discovery and so forth, but those are kind of the main ones that I've worked on in the past. But I do want to talk about number 5 as well, some of the data connectors, such as the HR connectors, physical badging systems, and so forth, that we can pipe more data into Purview to get more actionable results. So another thing I wanted to highlight real quick is a great YouTube channel put out by Microsoft. It's called Microsoft Mechanics. So if you're in YouTube and you search Microsoft Mechanics, it'll come up with their channel. You can see they have a full playlist here on Microsoft Purview. Um, so you've got all kinds of topics, whether it be just an overview of the regulatory compliance. They got a 13-minute video specifically on insider risk management, how to set that up. That data loss prevention, which again is your controls that you can put around the data to prevent data egress. Any topic that you can think of on Purview is likely covered in this playlist. But there's other options as well. There's a lot of other good creators that have, you know, put a lot of time and effort into creating videos on Purview. One guy I really like, if I can see, if we can find him real quick, is Peter Rising. He's a Microsoft MVP. So he's really well versed in all things Microsoft. I think he's even written a couple books on Microsoft security. Very, very helpful videos for deep dives into things like exact data match, which is something you'll come across if you get deep into the tool about how to use that feature to identify data using an EDM or an exact data match. So the resources are definitely out there online, free resources like YouTube. Another great way to learn about it is if you have a learning platform available to you like Udemy or CBT Nuggets or Pluralsight, and you just do a quick search for the SC400. I think they've recently updated it to be called the SC401, but basically this is going to give you all things Microsoft Purview, actually give you exposure to what the graphical user interface looks like, and show you how to navigate the tool. I have definitely spent a lot of time in Udemy on courses like this, and to be honest, I have taken the exam before multiple times and I have not passed. And if you know my background, I do have some pretty heavy certifications like the CISP and the PMP and the CCSP, but Microsoft Search, for some reason, really kicked my butt. And I think it's because you have to know exactly how to navigate. You have to be familiar with the various flyout windows and how to do specific tasks in a very detailed, granular way, which you'll learn through on-the-job use of the tool. But it's another thing when you have to go through and answer specific questions on that. Not to shy you away from it, I think it's great to dive into these courses and get those certifications if you can. So with that being said, I do want to transition into talking about job outlook for someone who has knowledge of this tool. Okay, so here we are over on LinkedIn, and what I love about LinkedIn is you can just do a quick search of Microsoft Purview jobs, and you can see right away, oh, that's interesting, there's a Deloitte job open near me with senior consultant for Microsoft Purview and data governance. So you can see even the big four, offer job opportunities in that space. But as you kind of broaden your net, you can see there's another one here for Ernest Young. Surprisingly, there's only a handful, but you can search adjacent, like Microsoft security jobs. You can see this SHI company is coming up quite a bit. We got one from KPMG, lead engineer in security engineering. Even Microsoft themselves hiring for a software engineer, which obviously would require some other special skills. But anything you see that has to do with information security, engineer type work, you can just crack open a job description and see if it makes any mention of the tools. You'll see this a lot, the DLP. So once you kind of understand how DLP works in Purview, that can translate into other clouds. I'm sure, here they're asking for their Azure, AWS. But you got to dive in and you got to look at the job descriptions and kind of tease out, exactly what they're looking for. But that does kind of prompt me. I just want to see if ChatGPT has anything to say about what is the job outlook for SC400 certified individuals or those familiar with Microsoft Purview in 2025. See what we come up with here. So it gives us some information like we talked about earlier. 400 is getting replaced by 401. Industry commentary highlights Purview's growing use and employers value demonstrated expertise via applied skills credential even without the SC400 cert. And so you can see with enterprises under regulatory pressure and deeply invested in Microsoft 365, Purview expertise is highly sought after. So yeah, it's just, take that with a grain of salt. That's the AI answer, and you got to do your own homework on the job boards, whether that's Indeed or LinkedIn, and the job market ebbs and flows, of course. Not quite sure exactly what it's like right now because I'm not actively looking, but it's definitely something that you'll have in your tool belt that'll kind of carve out a little niche for you. And there is a lot of crossover once you learn Purview into other tools like Defender. They definitely talk to each other, those two systems, and you can broaden your skill set out from just knowing Purview and graduate into some other Microsoft security tools within the stack. So definitely something to look out for. Now, before this video gets too long-winded, I did want to close it out. Earlier I had mentioned those two connectors, the HR connector and the physical badging connector. Those are both things I've been working on recently in my day job, and they're pretty cool, especially that physical badging connector, because you got to use some API calls to get the event data out of your physical badging connector into the proper JSON format that Purview expects. And then there's a script that they provide, a PowerShell script, to pull that data into Purview. But really cool stuff, gives you a chance to kind of tinker with API calls and maybe either PowerShell or Python. I will make maybe a future video on that if you guys are interested, just describing the process and how I got through it. Hint, hint, it involved a lot of vibe coding, or I guess you could say vibe scripting, using ChatGPT, and just kind of getting that whole end-to-end process stood up. The other one, of course, is the HR connector, which relies more on a CSV export of maybe you use Workday or some other HR system. And again, this is all tied to that insider risk management solution, just so you get more actionable data. And again, I can make videos on this in the future if that's something you guys are interested in. But yeah, before this gets too long-winded, I just want to say, if you're new to Purview or you're in the tool, I'd love to hear about it in the comments and just see what you guys think. Get the conversation going, and yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is InfoSecLuke, signing out.